2021 meeting of the Fairfax Area Commission on Aging. I'm Carolyn Sutterfield, Chair of the Commission. Normally, we would be meeting in various locations around the county, but clearly we haven't been able to do that for a while. So we have some official business we need to do to conduct to make this virtual meeting legal. And while we do that, we invite our visitors to use the chat function to identify yourself, either as an interested resident or as someone from a related group. You can add any comment you may have for the COA in the chat as well. I will read comments if there are any when we get to that in the agenda. Otherwise, visitors are kindly asked, please, to remain muted and off camera so that commissioners, staff, and speakers can conduct our business online today. So I'm going to begin with the FOIA script, and co-chair Mike Perrell and I are going to do our usual dance of getting through these motions. To conduct this meeting wholly electronically in accord with the emergency procedures authorized by FOIA, the Fairfax Area Commission on Aging needs to establish 3 findings and determinations for the record. This procedure, which calls for 3 separate motions and votes of the commission, is a bit cumbersome, so I ask your patience. Number 1, audibility of members' voices. First, because each member of the Fairfax Area Commission on Aging is participating in this meeting from a separate location, we must verify that a quorum is participating and that each member's voice is clear, audible, and at an appropriate volume for all of the other members. I am going to conduct a roll call. I will ask each commission member participating to repeat your name and the location from which you are participating. Please pay close attention to ensure that you are able to hear each of your colleagues. Following the roll call, we will take a vote to establish that every member can hear every other member. I will begin. I'm Carolyn Sutterfield, Chair of the Commission and representative of the City of Fairfax, and I am calling in from my home in the City of Fairfax. Mike Perrell.
Good afternoon. Hi, I'm Mike Perrell, representing the Braddock District, and I'm calling from my home in the Annandale area of Braddock District.
Sharon Dreyer.
I'm Sharon Dreyer. I represent the Lead District, and I'm calling from my home in Springfield.
Tom Bash.
I'm Tom Bash. I represent the Springfield District, and I'm calling in from my home in Springfield.
Kay Larmer.
I'm Kay Larmer, and I represent the Drainsville District, and I'm calling in from my home in Florida.
Diane Watson.
Diane Watson. I represent the Mount Vernon District, and I'm calling from my home in Lorton, Virginia.
Martha Cooper.
Martha Cooper, and I'm representing the City of Falls Church, and I'm calling from Falls Church.
Kathy Cole. You need to unmute yourself, Kathy.
I was trying to do that. I'm Kathy Cole. I'm the Commissioner at Large, and I'm calling from North Carolina.
Kathleen Hoyt.
I'm Kathy Hoyt, representing the Mason District, calling from my home in Alexandria.
Joe Hasty.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Hasty and from Providence District, and I'm at home.
Phyllis Palombi.
Phyllis Miller Palombi. I represent the Hunter Mill District on the commission, and I'm calling from my home in Reston, Virginia.
Okay, Phyllis, we can't see you. Are you going to go live on screen?
Yeah, I will in a second. Yes.
Okay, and I can hear you now. You sounded a little soft.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to make a motion, and then Mike will do a roll call vote, and you will hold up your hand and say aye or nay as appropriate. I move that we have a quorum present via remote connection, and that each member's voice can be adequately heard by each other member of the Fairfax Area Commission on Aging.
So is there anyone who would like to second that motion? I see Martha's hand up first. Martha seconds it. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? It passes unanimously.
I am hearing someone's background noise. Yeah. Number 2, need for an electronic meeting. Second, having established that each member's voice can be heard by every other member, we must next establish 4 points: the nature of the emergency that compels these emergency procedures, the fact that we are meeting electronically, what type of electronic communication is being used, and how we have arranged for public access to this meeting. I move that the state of emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic makes it unsafe for the Fairfax Area Commission on Aging to physically assemble and unsafe for the public to physically attend any such meeting. And that therefore FOIA's usual procedures, which require the physical assembly of the Fairfax Area Commission on Aging and the physical presence of the public, cannot be implemented safely or practically. I further move that the Fairfax Area Commission on Aging may conduct this meeting electronically through a dedicated audio conferencing line, and that the public may access this meeting by calling toll-free 888-270-9936 using the participant access code 231525.
So is there a second for that motion? I see
I
Diane
second.
stand up. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mike. And 3, need to dispense with FOIA's usual procedures to assure continuity in government and continue operations. Finally, it is required that all of the matters on today's agenda address the emergency itself, are necessary for continuity in Fairfax County government, and/or are statutorily required or necessary to continue operations and the discharge of the Fairfax Area Commission on Aging's lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities.
So is there a second for that motion?
Second.
I see Kathy Cole's hand up. So all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Any nays or abstentions? So the motion passes.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, we're in business. Next is review of our agenda for today. So you all received that in advance. I would like to add one item to it under new business, possible speaker for April or speakers going ahead. We have no one scheduled for April, so perhaps we can have a short discussion about that. Do I hear a motion to approve the, or does anyone else have a change or a correction for the agenda? No, then I would like to entertain a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? No, the motion passes. The agenda is approved. Next item is the approval of minutes from our February meeting. Does anyone have a change for that? I actually have 2 things I would like to do with that. The first is just to change the name of the item pertaining to this roll call that we do now, because the word roll call doesn't appear. So on page 9 of the packet you got, where it says motions to proceed with electronic meeting, I would like it to say roll call and motions to proceed with electronic meeting. That's how we're now being shown as present at the meeting and with our location, which is required. And Hilda had to go back and amend all of the minutes that we've done so far and have them re-signed. So we will follow this new format now. The second thing I would like to add is an addition to the description on page 11 of Mr. Descano's presentation. In the last sentence, I thought he said something at the end that I would like to get into the record. So I would like to amend the last sentence, which says he spent time answering many questions from commissioners and participants. I would like to put a comma there and add closing with ice, quotes, if it feels wrong or rushed, it's probably a scam, period, unquote. I think that was a useful comment that he made, particularly about something being rushed. So I would like to add that with your permission. So Does anyone else have an addition or amendment? Can I hear a motion to approve the minutes as amended? Tom is making that motion. I see his hand. And a second? Seconded by Kay. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? The motion passes. Okay. I'm going to look quickly to see if this is the public comment moment. I'm going to look quickly to see if there were any public comments. Several happy St. Patrick's Days, so that's very nice. Thank you. I apologize. I don't have anything green in my wardrobe. I wish you well on St. Patrick's Day. And then I see a note from that as of today, Let's Connect and the Millennial 50+ Ambassadors have finished their 52 TV fundraiser for the Fairfax County Lincolnia senior residents. That's excellent news. Every resident now has a television there, thanks to that effort. So I see we're getting a request for a Zoom captioning platform. We have not had a captioner before. I will certainly, put that forward and see what we can do about it. My own experience with the captioning in other meetings is that it doesn't keep up very well, and it's spaced out so far between things people say that it's very difficult to follow it in the column, but that's because I'm a person with a hearing deficiency. So it's a mixed bag, but I will certainly put that forward. Thank you for that public comment. Okay, we have a presentation today. It features Amy Carlini. And who else is here with you, Amy? I had Kim Clark, I see, so I will welcome you to make yourselves visible now. And Peggy Harder, is Peggy also with you today, or just you and Kim?
I saw her earlier, but now she's no longer on my view. Peggy, are you here? Yes.
I'm here.
Okay, we're fortunate. We consider ourselves fortunate that when the county redesigned its website, we were able to hang on to our address, which was fairfaxcounty.gov/older-adults, that we'd had for some time, and we still have it. So we're grateful for that. But these ladies here are following the retirement of our colleague Grace Lynch. They are the ones who now maintain that section of the county website and see to it that older residents can find the information they need. So they were going to talk about their work, and then commissioners will have a chance to ask questions. So welcome to Amy, Kim, and Peggy. Nice to have you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thank you for inviting us to be here today. So Kim Clark, as you mentioned, she is our website administrator and social media coordinator for the entire agency of Department of Family Services. And so thank you, Kim, for being here today. And Peggy Harder, I think you all know, she is celebrating 20 years with Fairfax County. So we just recognized her in our length of service award ceremony. She has been serving DFS and adult and aging all 20 years. So thank you, Peggy. We're so fortunate to have you with us too, because Peggy and Kim worked closely with Grace when we migrated all the new web pages over to the new platform. And I have not prepared a presentation necessarily because I heard that you all had suggestions for how we could make improvements to the web pages. And so I wanted to first show you something I'm really excited about that's new, but then afterwards, I was just going to sort of use this as a listening session. I can share my screen so that we can be looking at your web pages, but what we really wanted to do was hear your suggestions that you had, if that's okay.
That's okay. I did alert the commissioners a week ago that we would be, discussing this topic, and invited everybody to go spend a little time on the website, and maybe also to look at the Golden Gazette and see how that's available both virtually and in print now. So I'm hoping that my colleagues have comments and that I don't have to hold the fort here.
Well, that's the thing that I was excited to share first, is the Golden Gazette. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to share my screen. And I will show you what we've done in case you haven't seen it. Can you all see? Can someone let me know that you see my screen? Is that on top? Okay. So in the past, as you know, the Golden Gazette has been available in print to anybody who subscribes to it, and it's been available electronically in the form of a PDF document. But we have added a third option that I think makes it a lot more accessible, and it makes it easier for people to share the different articles. So we have started posting the articles on our website as individual articles. When you go to the Golden Gazette page, for each issue, you will see the latest articles that appear in the Golden Gazette. And when you click on them, of course, you can see the whole article. The pictures are in color, which is a nice addition. And of course, the advantages to this are that it's ADA accessible. It's, I think, easier for people to read if they're trying to read a PDF on their phone or on their computer screen. Sometimes that can be hard. Sometimes the resolution is tricky, or you have to zoom in and out or move it all around. I think this is a lot easier to read for people who may have some visual impairments. And it's also easy to share. We're hoping that people will share the links. We also share it on the 50 Plus Facebook page, and we share it on the DFS Facebook page as well. So we think we're going to get a lot more views for the Golden Gazette material. It's a little too early to look at analytics right now, but I'm just excited about this option. And if you go down to the, if you go back to the Golden Gazette page, I'm afraid when I do that, are you still seeing my screen, the new page now? Okay, so when you go to this page, if you go down to the bottom, we also have archives. If you click on the web version, we've been doing this since September. So if you click on the web version, you can see past articles through September. If you click on the printed version, right now that still goes to the PDF document for anything before September. But anyway, I'm excited about this, and I hope that you will maybe help us let people know about this. I've included it in the e-news, the 50 Plus e-news that goes out to people who subscribe electronically. But I'm wondering, how many people are really using it, know the advantage of it, understand that everything that's in the PDF is also online. So if you can help, that would be awesome. Before I move on, just to talk about your pages, did you have any questions about this?
I have a comment, because I went to the print version and it takes you out to Virginia Navigator where those are stored.
Right.
And you can scroll down through the PDF on there. What I was thinking as I did that, I thought, gee, I wished I had the function here where you had a right arrow and you could just click through the pages that way, but it may not be possible to do with their system. If you could go back and forth in the print version that way, people who are more comfortable reading the print would be able to go immediately to the next page without having to use the scrolling. That's one of the things. A lot of scrolling is one of the things that's counterindicated for older adults. And it's a problem we have with the main website itself, that to get to all of the content on older adults, you have to scroll quite a ways down. So rather than having links on a main homepage that take you to the thing you're interested in reading about, you have to keep looking. So I will ask if now I can't see everybody. So you all know how to use the reactions button to put your hand up if you want to talk. I see Phyllis, but I can't see all of the commissioners.
I just had a quick question. Is it, can you search by topic? Because I had an article in the Gazette and we're talking about doing another one. And somebody asked me how to find it. And I just gave them the months.
So yes. So first, to address your question about the PDF and the scrolling to the next page, that's a limitation of PDF documents, and that's one reason why this online format is so much I think, more accessible and easier for people to read once they become comfortable with it and to find the articles, because they won't have to scroll all around the PDF to find what they're looking for. You know, they'll see them on the page. And we are going to start moving that PDF document from Senior Navigator to our DFS website. We were not able to post it on the DFS website in the past because, number one, it contained ads, which goes against the county's social media policy. But now that we've reformatted the Gazette so that all the ads are in the back and they're together, we're able to easily remove them. So we can put them on, we can post the PDF on our website now. And also, because of ADA reasons, we couldn't post the PDF on our website unless we also had the information available as a regular web page, because PDF isn't always accessible to people with disabilities. And so now we have that. Now we're posting the articles in full on our webpage. So that's another reason why we can move it over. So next month, we're going to start with that. It's not going to make it any easier to read as a PDF. You know what I mean? We're still going to have the same limitations, but at least people will have that other option. As far as if people can search for specific articles, I'm going to let Kim Clark answer that question, because I'm not sure exactly how she set it up in the things, but I know that now that they're online as in the format that they're in, I think it would even be easier to search for them just using the regular search engine. I think they would come up. But Kim, do you have anything to add about that?
Sure. So this is very new, considering for having the Golden Gazette online in these web pages. The benefit of having them online is that if people do a search, which, by the way, our website search tool is powered by Google. So if they do a search with the keywords that indicate the article title or article substance, they should be able to have that come up in their search results to get to the article. That's the extent of it at this point. Most of the time when people are searching for articles that have been posted in the past, and I'm speaking in terms of other newsletters or e-news that we have within our agency, and they type in key phrases, keywords, or the title, they typically land on the article web page, or it shows up in the search results. The reason why is because the web pages, they contain those keywords, phrases, and article title. And that's what makes it show up on search results at the highest level. So Golden Gazette online in web pages is still very new. So it's going to take some time to show up in the search results. But we have found that they are slowly creeping up into the search results and they are appearing. But again, it also goes back to what it is that's entered into a search in order to be able to locate the article.
Great.
So that's the search on the Fairfax County website using that search function, or using just a Google search?
You can use the, I'm speaking more in terms of the county search engine or search function, which is powered by Google. But if you were to go to Google and you typed in, for example, Golden Gazette, and then the article title or keywords that are associated to the article, it should show up within that listing of search results.
I think I saw, did I see a list of total contents at the bottom of that page for the issue? So if you wanted to read the list of articles first and then pick one, that's where you would go?
The first half of the Golden Gazette webpage are highlights of the key feature articles. Below that, what you see are expandable bars, title bars, that include other information that are not the feature articles.
Okay, so maybe it should say feature articles at the top and then additional contents or something like that to identify what those two different categories.
Okay, thank you for the feedback.
Signposting. I'm an editor, so.
I'm taking notes, and Kim and Peggy, I hope you're taking notes too in between.
I saw Diane Watson's hand up.
Two notices, two remarks. I've heard, and sometimes myself have experienced, that when you go onto the website, the contrast colors don't come out. Like the background might be blue and it might be a different shade of blue with the words. So it's difficult to see. So that's one comment that I've heard and sometimes experienced. The other thing is I happened to be at a meeting yesterday and it was brought up that sometimes the timeliness that you get the Golden Gazette is like halfway through the month. And if there's some things that are time sensitive, you might have missed the occurrence or whatever. So when will it be up on the website, and is there a way of getting the Gazette out any sooner?
Yeah, thank you. We have experienced some issues with the timeliness of the mailed version, and I think that's going to definitely be improved this month. We got it out a little earlier last month, and we're working on getting it. You know, each time I think we're going to make it to our goal of having it in people's mailboxes the first week of the month. As far as the online version, we are able to, as soon as we can get it online, it's a little bit sooner is what I'm saying. We can probably get it posted online and get it out in the 50+ e-news a little bit before people start seeing it in their mailboxes. It's a process. It's to get this out every month and to get it timely and to do all these things. We're continually streamlining it to do it faster and faster, and we will just keep doing.
It's no little job, that's for sure.
You have to back your deadlines up pretty far to assure that. Amy, could we go back and look at the homepage for older adults?
We can definitely do that if you are done talking about the Golden Gazette.
I think, are we done talking about Golden Gazette? I've been trying to scroll through my faces. Mike.
Yeah, just on when you mentioned it's the searches by Google and the county website, does that mean Google is putting cookies on our computer and then it's going to track us with targeted advertising, older adult related advertising?
Oh no.
Privacy, security issues about Google?
That's a good question, and I can't speak for Google.
Well, I mean, the county decided to use it for some reason, so I don't know who, and obviously I don't know who's in charge of that.
That would be the IT department.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, we don't know the answer.
Something to look into.
Search engine on the county's website probably works the same as it does outside, you know, just in regular Google world. So.
Okay.
Depends on your browser maybe now, whether you have the option to browse anonymously.
I'm not able to see while I'm sharing my screen. I'm not able to see the chat or anybody's screens. So I can't tell if anybody else has Golden Gazette questions or not.
I'm just looking to see if there's anything else here. So Diane had a question, Mike had a question. I'm looking to see if there's anyone else before we talk about the website. Anything else about the Golden Gazette? I don't see anything. So now we're back on the landing page.
The landing page. So before we start, I just want to say that we really appreciate you taking the time to look through the pages and give us your suggestions. And like I said, we're just going to take a lot of notes today. I don't know that we will be able to answer everything, but if we don't know the answer, we'll come back with it. But we want to hear everything you have to say. And then depending on technical restrictions, best practice restrictions, you know, we might not be able to do anything, but we will definitely listen and do what we can and explain why we can't if we can't.
Okay, fair enough. So we're back on the landing page, and I think maybe this is, Diane, is what you were talking about with the dark background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on this page. So there's two things about it. The reverse white out of a black background can be problematic for some people, unless the type is really large, which is not always here. So I suspect that some people may have visual difficulty with this. The other thing that I mentioned before is how far you have to scroll on this page.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, although the hot topics are good because they'll take you right to the COVID-19 response plan, for instance, which is beautiful, by the way. If your office did that as well, it's, you know, it was so nicely presented. Took a while to get it together, but it was, you know, definitely professionally done. And I've seen a couple of other reports that have come out that your team has done, and you're doing a great job visually.
Thank you.
So this, I know there's constraints with the county design and what you're able to do and allowed to do, but look how far you have to scroll on there to find things like services or, you know, the scam. I mean, there are topics here that might be, you know, people want to just go directly to one thing. And that's a little trickier, although the basic things up here are at the top. The topic areas are there. So maybe if that were just a little bit bigger. It's, you know, we've talked about this before with the website. If you're going to it with a particular question, that it's often nice to have a frequently asked questions item right on a homepage, so that you don't have to spend, you know, half an hour trying to find what you're looking for. You can just see, oh, somebody's already asked this, and it'll take me to the answer. So that's an efficient way, and people are used to it now. You know, for folks who are not technologically savvy, we just give out the hotline phone number, you know, 324-7948, and it's right there at the top. But it's also, you know, available through cards that we all hand out when we're out in public. Not as often now as we used to be. As soon as we're able to again distribute those, you know, we just have to remember that there are a lot of people who don't have the computer access to things. But that's going to have to change because so many more things now are only done, you know, the whole online registration for the vaccination, you know, was very complex for a lot of people. And although there was a phone number to call, there were sometimes an hour or an hour and a half to wait on the phone to speak with somebody. So this whole communications thing is really tricky for us. I was remembering that when we did the community-wide 50+ survey in 2 years ago now, one of the results was that less than 50%, and we had 22,000 people it was sent to, and we had over 4,000 responses. I mean, it was very high response rate, but less than 50% thought they were somewhat or very informed about county services and activities for older adults. So we've been aware for a while now that communication is our challenge, one of them anyway. So if you have thoughts, I went online the last couple of days and looked at area agencies on aging in different parts of the country. And almost everyone is constrained by being part of a government entity, having to be on a particular website. And, you know, none of it looks like it's fun and exciting. It all looks very official, and, you know, the information is there somewhere if you can find it. So I know you're up against it in terms of the flexibility that you might have.
Yeah, a little bit. If you all looked on other Fairfax County web pages and found things on other Fairfax County web pages that you really liked, that would be helpful, because at least we know that those are things that we can do, you know. So in your spare time, if you want to do that, that would be good. But yeah, we do have a lot of restrictions because the overall county wants to make sure that everybody has a common user experience, no matter which agency they're clicking on, no matter which program they're looking at. They want everybody to feel like they're in Fairfax County government. And so we can't really outdo each other. We can't really get crazy and do a lot of fun things, but we would like to hear your suggestions, because we don't want to keep saying, no, we can't do that. We want to hear your ideas, and then we'll see if we can find workarounds. We'll see what we can do.
Okay, I see Diane has her hand up again.
In terms of phone numbers, you know, I know once we're on the webpage, I mean, we're on the website, we can access the different services and things, but sometimes you want to connect with the person and you really have to go looking for some of the phone numbers. Either they're not there or they're very small. If it'd be possible to make the phone numbers possibly a little bit bigger, and that's the big thing. There is just so much there. That's the thing. And when you go to any meeting, you know, that's the thing that almost always is said, go to the website. But if everybody's going to the website and having so much on there, it goes back to Carolyn's initial thing. There is just a lot there, and the scrolling. And for some people, staying on the website too long or trying to read the website is not an easy thing.
Amy, I'm looking at the top of that screen. There's some symbols up there. Is there anything up there that would help us navigate better on?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part. You're looking at the very top
I'm
part of
looking at this right above the yellow COVID line. There's some symbols on the right-hand side, you know, that are favorites. Okay, so those are your personal things.
Those are my personal things.
So when you go to this website, probably your own browser offers you an option for increasing font size.
Yes, you can increase the page size. That's something that everybody's individual browsers control. We also have on the Fairfax County website the translation.
Right. Okay.
At the top, so people can read our web pages in different languages.
That's great. I'm seeing what, 6?
No, if you click on it, there's like 100.
Really?
Yeah. It's automated translation, so it's not ideal. You know, if it's kind of like the automated closed captioning, where sometimes the word is not quite right. But I think it's good enough for people to get really important information and understand it.
Okay, well, that's useful to know. Something we should publicize when we talk about the web page.
Yeah, because we are trying to reach people who English is not their first language. So that's another reason, again, I sound like a broken record, but that's why I like that we're putting Golden Gazette articles on our website now too, because they're more accessible to people who speak languages other than English.
Right. And that's shareable then for people who want to put something on Facebook, make a link or send it to friends. The share button up in the upper right on the Golden Gazette page will do that.
Let me go back to the Golden Gazette page, or unless Kim, do you know the answer to that?
The web pages, the articles have the same share option on the page. So yes, it should be able to work.
Okay. So that's great. So if I see an article on there that I think, you know, somebody else in my community would enjoy, I can just link and you know, send that way. Good. Yeah, I would encourage, I have in my signature when I do emailing for the commission, I always put subscribe to the Golden Gazette with a link at the bottom. I better check and make sure it's still working, going to the same place, but you know, that's a nice way to publicize the Golden Gazette when you're emailing with other folks. Anybody else? I'm looking.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Carolyn, can I be recognized?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. First of all, Amy, Kim, and Peggy, I thank you for giving this opportunity to listen and take suggestions. You may be sorry you asked for that, because this is an issue I've talked about with Grace from the day one that I started my involvement in the commission. So I'm not going to take, I'll probably want to follow up with you separately. It's too much to go over, but just to pick up a couple points. When you said the county, I understand the county has a uniform way of doing it. I know of at least 2 departments, offices in the county that have 2 websites. The library has 2, and whatever the Economic Development Authority has 2. They have a public facing one, and the other one's kind of for you bureaucrats who want to understand in depth about the bureaucracy. The other is, I want to disagree a little bit with Carolyn. If you have to have frequently asked questions, to me, that's an indication of the failure of the website to present the information that people are looking for. It's kind of like, oh, we didn't figure things out, we'll stick it in the FAQ. So my professional background, I'm not an expert in it, but you know, I didn't win a Nobel Prize for it, but I'm sensitive to the issue of human engineering, ergonomics, user interface design. And so what I look for in a website is I have a problem. How do I get that problem answered? What you're forced to do because of the county restrictions is you have like a fire hose of information on that website. So it's not just scrolling, it's left, right, up, down, subtopics within subtopics. The search function I've used, it doesn't really get me to what I want. So can I, Hilda, is it possible for me to share my screen? Because I have 2 websites from other area agencies in the country that give some examples. And again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I can send more information to you. So can I share my screen, Hilda?
Yes.
I can
Amy,
stop
can I?
sharing.
Okay.
I'll stop.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
You can start.
All right, let's see. Okay, so this is in Cape Cod, and what I like about it is how can we help you? And then you got all the things. Do you need a meal? Do you need help around the house, et cetera, et cetera? And of course, they have more on the left side. That's kind of nice. Volunteer opportunities. There's no more scrolling. This is it. And then of course you click, and then there's maybe more scrolling. And let's see, here's another one that I like. First of all, this is much more friendly. Just looking at it is more friendly, and doesn't quite have the list, the more basic list that the other one did, but it's kind of like, here's this helpline. We have the phone number, but what do you call that number for? So I like the way on the left they say no cost telephone helpline for seniors and their families. It's got nice pictures. There is a little bit of scrolling. Here's a little bit more about the resource center and what they can expect. So let me just stop there, because I think I made my point. If you can get the county to give you a public facing website, there's a lot more you could do. But if you're restricted, we'll have to think of something else. So I'll stop there for now.
Yeah, there are agencies that have other websites, and that is, I don't know if all of them are supposed to be doing that or how they got to do that. That's probably above my A grade, but maybe you all as a commission could pursue that with the county somehow. But we have to operate within the county perimeters and the county rules in DFS. So that's what we're doing. But I wrote down the links to the 2 websites that you just showed, because they're different examples of how to organize the material. And we do have different options that we can use than the ones we're using now to organize the material. So that is something we can explore. I think the big challenge that we have is that you're so right, all of you, when you say there's just so much. And everybody sort of thinks that their thing needs to be one of the things that's right there on the homepage. One of the first things that people see, they think their question is the most important question, or their program. And so maybe what you all can do is help us prioritize, help us figure out what those questions are, those most frequently asked questions are, and help us figure out what are the 5, say, first things that people need to see when they come to your webpage that you don't want them to have to hunt for. I see a hand.
I see a hand too from Kathy Cole, who's been waiting for a while. Kathy, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. I was following on the heels, I think, of Mike, who presented the websites very well, the differences in these. I think when we're out in the public giving talks or whatever, what we hear the most is, I didn't know you did that, which to me says services. I didn't know the county did that. And here you have the county services all the way down at the bottom. And you have to scroll through podcasts and scam audio series and all of those before you get to the services. And the services aren't even well explained. The website that Mike showed, where it says, what can we help you with, would be much more succinct. You kind of have to know what you're looking for in order to find it. And we have found that people don't really know exactly what they're looking for, but they've got a problem. And this website does not make it look like, oh, I need to go here to find my answer. It's just all this information being thrown at you. On the sidebar, you've got some of the services. I've got a second computer going here. On the sidebar, you've got some of the services that are listed at the bottom, but it would seem to me that the sidebar could be just smaller links to your podcasts and have the services be the main portion, and not just a list of services, but something that's more interactive, so that you know when you click on it, you're going to get taken somewhere where you can fine tune what you're looking for, or maybe get some suggestions as to what you might be looking for. I'm sorry, but this is a very drab, institutional, boring, like, oh my God, what am I looking for kind of website. And it's just, it's disappointing, and I'm sorry.
I'm sorry you're disappointed.
Thank you, Kathy. Tom has got his hand up as well. You're muted, Tom.
Sorry about that. Thank you very much, Amy, for coming today. I've worked for a couple of years with Grace Lynch on the website because that was my task under the 50+ plan. And all these questions that people have brought up are very important. But I think it's important to understand, following up on what Kathy Cole said, why do people contact us in the first place? And it's basically they're going through a change in life, physical, emotional, cognitive, or financial, social. These are all things that factor in. And they're looking for information, basically. So they come to our site and they're confronted with a plethora of choices. 50 choices of all these programs and things. And it is, although Grace and I worked on establishing keywords that would link them to our services, it failed. It just didn't work because transportation, for example, is divided amongst 3 departments: the Department of Neighborhood and Community Services, Department of Family Services, and the Fairfax County Department of Transportation. I avoided acronyms here, thank goodness. And each curates that part of your page. And it's confusing. As I said, there are 30, 40 services, and which one is right for me? And what I concluded, I've been working on this actually for years, especially since 2017, when the Office of Public Affairs changed the whole format. We had to redo the whole thing. But this website is not like buying something from Amazon, where you can clue in, I'm buying a refrigerator, my price range is what. This is a social services website. It's a government website, and it has constraints of its own that the private sector does not have, because they can order things by function, by, as Mike was saying, keywords, often asked questions, that sort of thing. So I concluded after working and struggling with this, that actually the best way for a resident to find out about services is through the telephone number. And I know that sounds like a Luddite or something, but basically we have an older population and they're not tech aware, most of them. And they need a helping hand. They don't want to talk to a bot or artificial intelligence or something like that. They want a person who can guide them through this maze that they're confronting and ask, my mother is developing dementia. What do I do? I need food for my family. Well, that's handled by a separate department from DFS, as you know. My spouse is abusing me or something like that. It's not going to pop up on somebody's screen. So the 4-8 number to me is the key. And you have 6 social workers there at DFS who do an excellent job. Karen Heenahan, I believe. I've tested that phone and they know their stuff. They know how to navigate people around the county social services. They know it changes. And you can work on the website a lot, but you're never going to, at least in current year, you're not going to do better than those social workers. They do an excellent job. And that's all I have to say, really. It's just, it's the human element. You're not going to solve this problem online and on a website, believe me.
So are you recommending they put a box and say, not sure what your problem is, call this number?
Yeah, sure. Make it easy for people. Put that 4-8 number prominently out in front and say, if you can't find your way around this, just call us. Just like Mike was saying, make it easy. Make it easy for people to access. That's what you want. It's not awareness of Fairfax services that I think we should be concerned about. It's getting people access to the information they need quickly. And that's how you do it with the social workers and the 4-8 number who have to go through all this. They know county programs very, very well, better than any of us, I think. They're trained. And it sounds very, I know, old-fashioned, but it works. It works. And I've worked with this website. It's not like a private sector website. It has constraints. One other thing I'd like to mention. I talked to Tony Castrilli, the Office of Public Affairs. I said, why can't you refer our people to outside organizations like nonprofit groups that we deal with in the county? They said, oh, it's liability. We can't refer them to directly to the Shepherd Center even, or maybe you can with Shepherd Center, or they have to be county partners who are receiving funds through the CISIFAC committee. But you can't.
Okay, Tom.
Go ahead.
Kay is wanting to add something here. Kay?
The county somehow circumvented that when they let Senior Navigator be linked to the county website. So there
yeah,
is
they can do it there. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I stepped. Okay, that's all I want to say. But this I've been dealing with this for 5 years, so it's frustrating.
I have 2 things I'd like to say. One is I did find the virtual assistant, and I did type in, of course, is my background, adult day healthcare, and it popped up and said, we're not, we're just learning the services and blah, blah, blah. I think if the virtual assistant becomes more prominent also, because I do believe seniors are learning that they have to become somewhat savvy to get just through our world. So I would really beef that up a lot as fast as you can so that it can react to the question it's getting instead of saying, I'm just learning. And then the second thing is, I wondered how you do link to other agencies, because adult day healthcare, of course, to me is a vital service for seniors. There should be a link from this page to the health department, adult day health services, as with what Tom just mentioned, some of the other agency that provide services for seniors. So like mental health. So, and I didn't see a way yet to do that. When I went in and looked at services, I didn't see, it said senior centers, but I didn't see anything about some like adult day healthcare. So that
there is nothing that prevents us from linking to other county agency pages. So if we don't do it, we just need to hear your suggestions about which ones we should be linking to. That's an easy thing we can do.
Okay. Well, that's one, Amy. I'm a little biased about that service, by the way, as y'all know.
Well, we have about 5 minutes left here. Martha, I see your hand, but you'll need to unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. I did get a chance to look at a little bit at the Gazette and the website, and I certainly agree that there's a plethora of information. But two points. One is I went to the Commission on Aging, and it had an old picture of old commissioners. And my suggestion for that is that we do a have a photo of our commission online with people's names. I think that will say a whole lot more than some people standing next to each other trying to look thin. Sorry. I'm sorry, but there were no names associated with it. It was just, this group of people that are our Commission on Aging. So forgive me.
This was all photoshopped anyway.
We should take a screenshot right now, right? But we don't have everyone
But
here.
the other thing is that sometime in the fine print it says, and Fairfax City and the City of Falls Church, but often it just says Fairfax County. And so I don't know what wording would be good, but if it's somehow there was an emphasis that this is the area agency on aging and it isn't just Fairfax County, I think people might feel as though, oh yeah, I get to do that too. So I don't know, again, I don't know how to change that, but I just bring that up because it seems, initially you say, oh, this is just Fairfax County. I mean, even for COVID shots, they say Fairfax County, and then you have to discover, oh, the health department covers more. So that's my other point. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As city people, we're often saying, and the cities, and the cities. And we pay, we contract, we're part of the health district. So, we deserve to be included. But I know with publications, it's been an ongoing thing just to remember to ask every time. Anyone else?
Carolyn, can I say something really quick before you move on? This is Tara.
Hi, Tara.
Hi. Tom said something that I think is really important, and I just want to reiterate. In terms of that person to person or that phone call, and this doesn't apply to everything that's been said today, so I want to be clear about that, but I do want to just leave it in people's mind that we intentionally don't put everything on the website because everybody's situation is so unique, and that phone call reveals information that, if somebody just looked at something on a website, they may self-select that they don't qualify for something and not get information that might lead them down another path that, the social workers and ADCR would be able to kind of flush out with them and lead them in another direction that could help them. And so I just wanted to say that one piece that, I think with Tom bringing that up, it just was fresh in my mind that I wanted to make sure that everybody understands that sometimes we're very intentional about not putting too much information out there that would, make people not call when they really could get the information they need by calling. So just wanted to leave that there.
Good point. Thank you, Tara.
Can
Before I put Kathy with the last word, I just want to offer my thanks and appreciation to Amy and Peggy and Kim for being here today and for taking it from us sitting there and listening to criticism instead of praise. But we know your job is tricky and you're all excellent professionals. So now I'll let Kathy say.
Thank you, because I wanted to be positive. I wanted to say publicly that you have quite a gem in Peggy Harder. She is our go-to person. If we have a question as to how to work the website or fix something, she has been giving us years of support with Shark Tank and now with Think Tank. You have got a web guru right there, and we couldn't do it without her. So thank you, Peggy.
Thank you, Kathy. I couldn't do what I'm doing without Kim and Amy. Many thanks.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your support services for all the different parts of you know, the different groups that work with you. It's not easy, I know. Okay.
So Caroline, may I just say one last thing?
Sure.
So thank you all. I don't take it as criticism. I appreciate the suggestions. I really do. We all want the same thing. We all want to make improvements to the website. So I really appreciate the thought you put into it and that you will continue hopefully to send us suggestions. You've given us, I'm excited because you've given us some things that we can actually do quickly and easily. So after this, Kim and Peggy and I are going to huddle, and there are some quick things that we can do right away. So, so we'll make sure to do those, and then we'll figure out the best way to work with you on the other things. So, so just thank you again for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on now. Linda, are you there somewhere? There she is. Linda's going to talk to us now about the Equity Impact Plan.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. I do want to talk to you about the Department of Family Services Equity Impact Plan. Just as a reminder, and since I know we have more than just the commission here, I do want to remind you that our school system and our county adopted a One Fairfax policy, and it focuses on addressing racial and social inequities in our county. You know, this policy, it asks us to consider equity in our decision-making and in the development of future policies and the delivery of policies, of programs and services. The policy really helps our county to look at intentionally, comprehensively, systemically at the barriers that may be creating gaps in opportunity. We do recognize that in our role of government, we can and we have the power to advance social and racial equity, or we can cause damage. And One Fairfax leaders really do believe that government has a responsibility to play a role in advancing equity. So that's really where this policy is coming from. And I remember that you all had a One Fairfax presentation. And so, you know, when we talk about equity at the county now, we're not talking about a one-time experience, right? Which has been, sometimes that's what's happened. But we're talking about things like using data to learn about our communities. There's a vulnerability index on the One Fairfax page that's very informative. We're using data to test our assumptions. That's encouraged. We're being encouraged to use an equity lens to review where there may be unintended consequences of policies and procedures. So that's kind of where this work is coming out of. The One Fairfax office directed all agencies to create an equity impact plan. So like every agency in the county, like Department of IT, Department of Taxation, and now Department of Family Services also has an equity impact plan. This equity impact plan is our commitment as an agency to create tangible steps and actions to advance equity in key areas. It follows this model that One Fairfax has been talking about in terms of how you advance equity in government. And it talks about normalizing, organizing, and then operationalizing. So it'll be no surprise, our equity impact plan has 3 goals. And the first one is about normalizing the concepts and the language around equity, the concepts of One Fairfax, which really is a focus on systems change for our staff, for all our staff, and for our key partners, such as those participating in boards, authorities, and commissions. It's important to build understanding for all these staff and our key volunteers because we recognize that we all play a role, okay? The second goal is about building capacity to apply this equity lens. So the second goal centers around building capacity within our leadership, teaching them what it means to apply an equity lens and how. And the third goal is about improving and building upon our collaborations and partnerships with the end goal to serve our residents better. And in that area, we're going to see more alignment as a county in how we do equitable community engagement. That's work that's been ongoing for over a year now. So right now, well, I should tell you this, not right now. We've been working on this, on the work to build this equity plan for over a year. Department of Family Services has mobilized staff at all levels and from all divisions to create this plan. We have equity leads that are assigned from each division that are packaging resources so that our divisions can then meet the goals of this equity impact plan. As for adult and aging, Trina, our director, has been an active senior management team member that has worked on developing this equity impact plan. Tara, our AAA director, has served as a sponsor for our adult and aging equity team. I am the adult and aging equity lead of the staff work group. And we have 4 or 5 more members of our staff that participate in this work group. So we've been working on it for a long time. We know that it's very critical work, but we don't want to rush it, and it's been being done very intentionally. We're very excited about how comprehensive it is, and we look forward to sharing more. But that's my quick update.
Unmute myself. I'm trying to remember to mute in between things so I don't get background noises here. I'm feeling that, one of the points, I know we have an event coming up in April that members of the boards, authorities, and commissions have been asked to participate in. It's a Saturday morning, which is a Saturday morning in April is a precious time. So it's probably causing some people to be, wondering, is this the time to acquire a common vocabulary so that we'll, be speaking as we work across through different departments and presenting to the world, the programs, well, thinking for us of the SHAPE plan, the Shape the Future of Aging plan that we hope to resume work on at some point, that should be entirely in line with what everybody else in the county government is talking about. And am I saying that right? Are we looking for a vocabulary? Are we looking to have certain kinds of experiences together? Some of us have been around long enough to have had diversity training 20 years ago. So how has that evolved, or what did we miss, that we need to do what we're going to do this time?
Yeah, I'll invite Tara and Trina to speak as your leadership. I've taken that training. I think it's an excellent one, actually. What I think is that opportunity is really an opportunity for you to learn. And I do know that the common language that's also being developed for family services. So there's more to come, but I do encourage you because it's really an excellent training. I don't know if Trina or Tara wanted to add anything else to that.
For that. Tom's got his hand up. You have a question, Tom?
Thank you, Linda. I'm aware of the April 17th training on Saturday, I think it is, 9 to 12, and that's very good. I'm just wondering if Mr. Beckett's, is he also going to present a series for other groups like disability? I also represent that sector, and we were wondering if they could have a similar, what is it called? A groundwater, I don't know where they got that word, but a groundwater meeting that would focus on the challenges faced by people with disabilities in this county. Is that something that's coming up as well, focusing on different groups besides the ones that they're on the 17th? Is that?
I don't know about an exact training, but I do know that one of the I'll say this, one of the trainings that will be cascaded out and rolled out to our staff is a framework called the Addressing Framework, which will be, and that one does look at what the term is called intersectionality. So the different parts of a person's identity, including abilities, just nationality, for example, and how those intersect to either, really hurt sometimes, like where policies can hurt people. So what you're mentioning would be fit in really well under that. And I do know it's a training that DFS will be rolling out.
Linda,
Yeah, I would ask that be put into the total scheme of things, because people with disabilities are not recognized as an afflicted, marginalized group as much as other groups. They just don't have the visibility that others do. And I would like them to have a voice. Actually, if you could take that down, and Mr. Beckett's could design a program specially for us, we can help you. The DFS can help you do that, I think.
Tom, I want to let you know that that is on the radar, and it's not that it's a special training, but the trainings really are geared not just to maybe address inequities in race, but address inequities across the board, period, of all kinds.
That's good. So,
and there has been lots of discussion around the inequities in groups of people who have disabilities. As you know, Claudia is our director of disability rights and resources and has had a voice in some of those discussions. In addition to that, part of the goals of the equity impact plan that Linda talked about really bring it down to not just the departmental level, but the unit level and the individual level as well, but looking at it, how does it impact the system, right? And so there is opportunity for conversation with disability rights and resources and people to come to the table. There will be future conversation with community input and things like that to address all inequities, not just one type of inequity, but inequities across the board. So I don't want you to think that that's off the radar.
That's good. Thank you.
Sarah. I see Sharon's hand up.
I'm not sure where this fits, but one of my concerns has always been, quote, the working poor, the people who have two jobs, but they can only get county appointments from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And so, I feel like in my past life, I've fought this battle forever. If services are only available during, quote, normal working hours, but some people are working during those working hours, and there must be some lessons learned from COVID and working from home and all of that, but because I feel a little bit sort of like Tom is saying, but can we look at the equity in terms of access simply because you can't get to the office Monday through Friday? How about having some evening and weekend hours for people who are working during working hours? And it's much interpersonal, but it's equity in terms of access. So
yeah, sure. You're describing what could be a barrier.
A big barrier, if you've got to take time off work from your hourly job to get to the office.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a problem.
This whole area of what are the inequities, there are many things that we may not automatically include in that. It's not just racial or ethnic, it has to do with
correct.
Housing,
Right.
Single family zoning is a form of inequity, so every area has its thing that we need to look at. Mike,
Right.
were you?
Yeah. In your plan, is there a part of it to measure how well it's succeeding? You know, how do you measure whether it's doing what it needs to do or something else needs to be done?
Yeah, that is in development, but yes, there is a measurement component that has to be developed for each of those goals. Yes, and the data experts from Family Services are a part of this team that in the development.
Okay, anyone else questions? So are people planning to sign up for the April 17th training event? I see Diane nodding. Looks like I'm going to sign up for that. And Kathleen? And who else did I see? Kay, you'll be back then. Good. Okay, well, that should be good representation. We can talk about it then at that we meet the following week. So we'll have a chance to have some fresh take on that. All right, that's the time that we have for now. Thank you so much, Linda, for bringing that to us and to the public through this meeting. We're now at old business, which is usually commissioner updates. So we have a chance to talk about those of us who attend some of the related groups like the Northern Virginia Aging Network or the Long-Term Care Coordinating Council, the Dementia Friendly Fairfax group. So let's see, Mike, I'll call on you first. Do you have something from Northern Virginia Aging Network?
No, I couldn't get to that meeting yesterday. Carolyn, you're muted.
You're muted.
Carolyn, you're muted.
See, I've been trying to mute myself in between and then I forget myself. Okay, so Mike does not have a report on NVEN, but I think Terry Lynch was sending out some NVEN related materials that may have gone to everybody. I'm going to call on Kathy Cole next.
You're muted.
I'm trying. For some reason, my mouse clicker doesn't want to click. I don't really have anything to report other than think tank is on its way. The first deadline is April 18th. For all you who are putting together projects on how to counter the isolation felt by older adults during COVID-19 pandemic and beyond.
Okay, we look forward to the results.
Peggy helped us with and put in your project.
Okay, Diane, did I see your hand up for a report?
Right. I did get to the NVEN meeting yesterday, and Karen Hannigan gave a really good presentation on bullying. So that might be one person that you might think about for a speaker for us. Bullying in a congregate setting and particular people that might be an object of the bullying. That was part of the meeting. The other part was a synopsis of the committee work that went to the General Assembly and the pros and the cons and what went where. Like you said, Trina's going to send a report about that. But ironically, following the meeting yesterday, there was a South County Town Hall meeting, and Kathy Tran and Vivian Watts and a couple other people were there, along with the doctor, the vaccine doctor, the state vaccinator coordinator was there, basically talking about everything. And it hit me at the NVEN meeting and both at the town hall meeting. It's all about perception. You know, those of us who have ever been in a nursing home or had somebody in a long-term care facility recognize the fact that the direct care workers are the ones who are providing the care specifically for the most vulnerable people. And both the issue of salaried and the staffing proportion, the number of staff to the number of residents that they're taking care of, that's been an issue, and Virginia has not put forth the restriction or the staffing ratio at a good level. And Vivian Watts yesterday in a remark when she was doing a synopsis says, so many people passed away in the nursing homes. We know that. And one of the things that she really points out to is that staffing ratio, that it's not good, that to not address it is not going to give us the quality of people that we need to, have more people doing that direct care work, but also providing the best care that they can. So that there were 2 meetings there that sort of overlapped. And the Dementia Friends, going back through I sent you the thing a little late, Carolyn, but hopefully you got it. Dementia Friends, we had another meeting earlier this month on the 2nd, and that brings our numbers up to Allegra and mine up to 125. The Insight has a total of Dementia Friends of 153. Now, granted, they've had some other programs as well, but not necessarily the Dementia Friends. We're going to be advertising our sessions on the Leading Age website. So that's going to be an interesting thing too. So that's the one thing. The COVID Impact and Response meeting. It's ongoing. We're going 2 times a month, addressing the issues that Kathy has brought up, the social isolation and communication. So we're meeting with different members and talking about how they addressed the COVID. And, the eventual goal is to have partnerships occurring within the LTCC members and other parts of the community. And one of the speakers yesterday, as a matter of fact, was Linda, talking about the Ambassador 50 program. And Phyllis is going to be coming at our next meeting next month. So we're looking forward to that because we know that,
Monday, this Monday.
Yep. The mental health component of COVID is really something to be addressed. And one other meeting that I attended that was a sort of a freakish kind of thing I never even heard about, but somebody asked me if I wanted to go, in Ventures in Community. Apparently it's a group of people that formed this group last year. Essentially, their website says, Ventures in Community enables member organizations to coordinate their efforts to help local underserved people. The mission is to unite faith communities and nonprofit organizations of the Southeast Fairfax County to advocate for and serve those in need. At that meeting, Dr. Ben was there, Dr. Ben Schwartz and Sharon, I don't remember her last name, but with the health department. And basically at that meeting, they were pushing the idea, as we've heard, that the vaccine is safe for all. There's still a certain number of people that are hesitant, either concerned about the vaccine themselves because of the speed that they came about, but Dr. Schwartz really tried to address those concerns. And what came out of the meeting too is what we've been talking about. You could go to the website for the vaccine, but and get something taken care of relatively swiftly compared to calling on a phone. But again, that access problem is, and there was one of the ladies there at the this Ventures in Community meeting that had a list of 200 people that couldn't access on the website. So she got the information and was able to give it to the health department person right then and there. So, I mean, after the meeting, not right then and there, but and then we were able to, I felt informing them about the transportation component with the health department if somebody had a need to get to the vaccination site. And the other thing that was mentioned is the difficulty getting to some of the vaccination sites. Depending on where you were, you just wanted to push on that button to get that vaccine appointment set up, but it wasn't always close to where people lived. So it highlighted some of the difficulties. And that's all I want to say, Carolyn.
That's plenty, Diane. Thank you. I mean, lots of different groups are organizing. Mike had sent us earlier some information about the Federation of Federations forming a system to help people get their vaccinations too. And I just got the news this morning from Chairman McKay's newsletter that they're broadening the 1B now to include food and agriculture, manufacturing, and grocery store workers in 1B. So they've worked their way through, getting appointments for the big group of us that got on right around the time of January 18th. There was a huge bulge of 65 plus people, and it seems as though they're making progress. They got 43,000 vaccine doses this last week, which is a big jump from the 31,000 the week before, and from the 13,000 they were originally getting. So vaccine is moving through the system, and they're going to be having more places to go and get the vaccine as time goes by. Okay, I'm just gonna try to summarize briefly, because I don't have a lot of time here left to say that I am the one who keeps track of what the Human Services Council is doing. The Human Services Council is a group of 20 members, appointees from the different magisterial districts and 2 at large, who are charged with analyzing the needs and effectiveness of the health and human services system, advising on annual and strategic goals and priorities, and serving as a liaison to governing and advisory boards of health and human services organizations and to the community. So I attend their monthly meetings. Because the third Monday and the third Wednesday don't always come in the same week, I've actually been to 2 since we last met. So on February 22nd, Sarah Allen, who was then acting director of Neighborhood and Community Services, reported that coordinated services planning had been handling 5,000 calls a week. That's up from the former pre-COVID of around 1,200 a week at their hotline, the 222-0880 number. Many of these first timers needing help with housing, food, and utilities. And they've been coordinating funding sources for that from the CARES Act and the Community Services Block Grant. And the Board of Supervisors has authorized hiring some more staff for that call line and implementing a call back option where you can leave your name and phone number and somebody will get back to you. Dean Klein, who's now Chief Strategist for Health, Housing, and Human Services for the county, talked about eviction prevention efforts and referenced the newly set up and funded Landlord Portal. So landlords who wish to help their clients who've been adversely affected by the pandemic now have a way to contact the county and get linked with funding that's becoming available. I don't have an update on the American Rescue Plan Act, as what additional money is coming into the county, except I think Mr. Hill mentioned at a symposium last week that it would be $400 million, something like that. So I don't want to be quoted on that, actually. I don't have it written down here. But what I was really looking for was the discussion they had in February, and they took up again this last week, of the Innovation Challenge grant funds that they had. For several years, they'd been an ongoing appropriation by the Board of Supervisors to help out with some smaller efforts that would, could be faster moving. The first one that happened was an equitable distribution of free meals in 3 of the 4 regional Fairfax County regions. And food insecurity remains a problem, but suggestions in February were looking at small industries and small private organizations that help people become more self-sufficient. Perhaps funding a model childcare program as a tool of financial stabilization for families. And then there was a suggestion to set up a microloan infrastructure system that funds of people with innovative ideas could come forward and apply for funding in that way. That was put aside. Chris Leonard, who's now the Deputy Director for Health and Human Services, was there and said he would talk with staff and return at the next meeting. In the interim, they had a special meeting and heard about the fiscal year 2022 budget. So the March 15th meeting this week was primarily about the draft budget response letter, where they were approving some of what the county was suggesting, but also asking for additional pandemic related relief. And recommending expanding the equitable early childhood system to increase access and affordability, and reinstating the penny for affordable housing set aside that used to be happening with the tax receipts. that was suspended. But one member also spoke very feelingly about the possible link between higher rates of COVID infection and death in certain communities in our area. The link between that and the overcrowding caused by a lack of affordable housing in those communities. So he really wanted to push strongly on the affordable housing request. And Chris Leonard was there, and Carla Bruce joined him just to speak briefly about the Innovation Challenge grant follow-up, to say that the county is very interested in pursuing a group called Family Independence Initiative, www.fii.org, which is a community-led approach to boosting and sustaining economic and social mobility for Americans who live at or below the poverty line. So they were encouraging members of the council to research and read a little bit more about what that group is doing. Chris also announced that the new director of Neighborhood and Community Services, effective March 13th, is Lloyd Tucker, previously Director of Regional Services and Center Operations for NCS. So that is the things that I attended. I will just, also Sharon and I both attended the housing symposium that was held this last week. And we don't have a lot of time to talk about it because I want to get to Tara's report. But Sharon, if you would like to say a few words about that experience, and it is all available now. The whole thing is available on YouTube. So Sharon, I'll turn it to you.
Well, I guess I just felt it was an absolutely fantastic, I mean, I don't always use a lot of superlatives, but I thought this was an excellent gathering of diverse presenters who were using data and not just anecdotal evidence about the impact of affordable housing in their particular realm. The superintendent of the schools talked about, we've already knowing teachers can't afford to live in Fairfax County. The president of George Mason talked about students not being able to afford to live in the county. Some of them were living in cars, but also about the impact of lack of affordable housing on his ability to attract new professors. I can't remember the woman's name, Martha Mildred, anyway,
yeah,
who talked about the social determinants of life and how housing was at the core of that. And it really, as I say, the synergy of the group for me just pointed out over and over and over again the importance of housing to individuals and families' lives. Yeah. I guess kind of the best news was that there were 1,000 new units built or online last year, and there was an opportunity for 2,000 more in 2021. And so the task force that Tom and I served on before recommended 5,000 units, and I think we could be cautiously optimistic that 5,000 units in 5 years might actually happen. So also the big emphasis on partnerships and the advantage, as a couple people have said today, the advantage of partnerships and using this skills of each other and the synergy that happens. So I think if you have time and interest, it is very worth your while to spend the day listening to these presentations on YouTube. They were, every speaker to a T, I think, was right on target. So it was well worth a day.
Good. Yeah, I second that. To get access to those, go to the Fairfax County website, fairfaxcounty.gov/housing/2021 housing symposium. And that will take you to show you what the schedule was and who the people participating, and you can go to each of the 4 sessions. separately. I would recommend also Supervisor Walkinshaw's
He
excellent
is really
opening
good.
remarks. The one that stuck with me is, he was very frank about his nice house, $600,000 house, and 3 bedrooms. He pays $2,200 a month, with the help of government subsidies. That's his monthly mortgage. Whereas a single parent in his district with 2 children wanting to rent a 2-bedroom apartment would also pay $2,200 a month for that in the Braddock district. So, he just was a very clear personal way for him to talk about inequity in the housing system and the need for more affordable housing. The panel member, Patricia Matthews, who was on with Dr. Braybrand and Dr. Washington from GMU, and Victor Hoskins, who's the president of the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority. They were very gung-ho. The guys were talking about talent. We're in the talent business and we need to attract these. And she was the one who made that comment about housing is not just units, it's communities. It's the feeling of the place. So that was a nice balance to listen to. Tara, are you still with us? I'm sorry we ran over.
I'm here. That's quite all right. Before I jump in, I actually wanted to ask Diane a clarification question. I heard you talk about NVAN, and I had to miss the meeting yesterday. I heard you say something about Trina sending out a report, and I just wanted to clarify what that was so that I can follow up. Oh, you're muted, Diane.
You're muted.
Times of COVID, you're muted. That's famous words. It's Trina from NVAN that was going to be sending the things out to the NVAN.
It's Terry.
Oh, Terry.
Terry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terry.
Okay.
Terry Lynch.
I gotcha. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify in case there was something I needed to follow up on. So thank you for clarifying that.
Slides from that bullying thing. And so I'll be interested in that too. If it didn't go to everybody, we'll see to it that you do get access to those.
Okay, thank you so much for that clarification. My report, I just wanted to check in with you around equity, and we've already talked about the groundwater presentation. I don't have firsthand knowledge to share with you on that because I haven't had the chance to go through it myself, but I will be attending with you. So I am thankful for that opportunity. But I did want to say that, kind of the whole point of this work and having the commissions and the boards and authorities go through some of this work, and Trina put this into the chat, and I just wanted to circle back and make sure that everybody understood that, is that as you as a group kind of advocate for those programs and those services, that you will do that with an informed perspective in terms of equity and inclusion. And so it's really laying the foundation for that work to move forward. So I just wanted to put that out there. Additionally, I wanted to just mention about the Shape the Future of Aging plan. As you know, the Board of Supervisors had hit the pause button on the work of Shape the Future Aging plan to address the immediate COVID-19 needs. But it is important to note that our Shape the Future of Aging plan will be created apart from the countywide strategic plan, but we really want to be mindful of that strategic plan, and we want to be informed by it and do our work with the foundation of that plan in mind. So the shape work and the development of that plan will resume upon direction of the Board of Supervisors, but it's also important to know that the work kind of behind the scenes and your thought processes, that hasn't stopped. For your awareness, Jackie and I are meeting with the Office of Strategy Management and talking about data and kind of, getting prepared. That work hasn't stopped. So I wanted you to know that. And I know that your thought process and kind of thinking through those future things has not stopped as well. So it is still on the radar. And when we get the green light to move, we will be ready. So I wanted to let you know about that. The other thing that I wanted to let you know about is in terms of our communication initiatives. And so the 50 Plus podcast and the Channel 16 Mature Living shows, they were temporarily paused due to COVID-19 restrictions. And department-wide, there's been an opportunity to think about our focus for future podcasts and videos. and using the COVID-19 response plan for older adults to focus areas as our guide. And so we will share in the resource planning for programs with other health and human services groups. And we're also reevaluating our process for determining who will be guests on these shows. So communications is really looking at that from a perspective. They want to be equitable with practices. And for this reason, anyone on the commission who participates in shows or writes for the Golden Gazette will be doing so strictly as a commissioner on behalf of the COA, but may not do so in their professional capacity outside of the commission. So, these guidelines that are used for all residents and professionals will apply from an equitable lens. So I wanted to also let you know of that information. And that will conclude what I have to share for today.
Okay, will that be put down on paper in some way to be sent to us, exactly what we may or may not do?
We can work on that. Yeah, I'll let you know if we can put something together in writing.
Okay, I see Phyllis has a question, but you're muted.
Can you clarify what that means because I've done that, obviously.
Yeah, I can a little bit. I think did Amy stick around? I think she was, okay. I think Amy had to leave us, but she will be able to answer if there are specific questions. But Phyllis, basically, you will find examples in the past where this has not been the case. So, if you have done something in the past related to your professional work and kind of from a professional perspective, those types of interactions will likely not be allowed in the future. You presenting as a professional rather than a representative of the COA. You may be asked, to present from a commissioner's perspective, but you won't be asked to present in a professional capacity.
How could you not, if the topic is about the effects of social isolation from a psychological standpoint?
It becomes very tricky, and communications will be heavily involved in kind of making that determination and whether it aligns or not. So Amy will be able to answer more specific questions in terms of there's like
it doesn't make any sense if you're on there because you have a specific expertise. I mean, you don't have to obviously you're not posting a resume, but how do you not validate what you're talking about because you are a professional? I don't understand that.
Okay, I'll get further clarification for you, and if there's a specific item that you're thinking of, I know there were some things coming up to be discussed, and we can speak with those offline.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
that's probably so. I see Trina has just popped up. Did you want to say something, Trina?
Hi, everybody. Yes, just real quick, fellas, I completely understand where you're coming from. And I think Tara did a really good job of trying to explain what information we're receiving from OPA, which is our guidance and guidelines, because we have many programs from mature living to Channel 6, just many other, to the senior center, and bringing in resources and speakers and, our regular speakers bureau. So we have a lot of programs that the county has put in parameters and guidelines on who can actually be a part of that. And that includes anything actually also going in the Golden Gazette. So you'll see and you'll notice that even in the Golden Gazette, and I'm not sure if Tara mentioned this because I had to jump off, but even in the Golden Gazette, you'll see that has moved to more county sponsored programs. And so the people who are contributing there are directly related to whatever services that they're talking about. But to your point, you're right. It's the experts that we need to hear from. And so the county, and so I think when you speak to Amy offline, or even we can have Amy come back, Tara, to kind of clarify this, but I think it'll be a happy medium. I think you'll see that, your information that you provide that benefits older adults will be seen in mature living, but with some parameters, and it'll probably be even something across the screen reminding people that we're not endorsing your business, but here's information that's being shared. So I think in the end, we're all going to get what we want, and that's to give out the great information to our older adult community.
Okay.
All right, just was confusing. So I'm glad you're clarifying what that.
Yeah, I'm sorry I made it confusing.
We
No,
opened.
because then I couldn't participate, you know, if I didn't, I mean, I couldn't lie and say I'm not a professional in
Right,
that
right.
area.
No, and it's not about that. We need to be mindful of endorsing businesses and being equitable about who has a seat at the table and has a voice.
Yeah, I'm so busy, I don't need any more. But that's just over the top.
We
But
will
thank
work
you,
this
Tara.
out. We will work this out before our next meeting, hopefully. Better. I am to new business now, so I'm going to call on Jackie Woodruff, who has been acting as our secretary, but will now talk to us about the advertised budget and the budget hearings.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Fortunately for me, we have this on Zoom, so that makes being a secretary a little bit simpler. So the good news is that there were no proposals in the advertised budgets that would affect older adult services. So we don't have to worry about that. Carolyn mentioned that she and I both attended the Human Services Council meeting and heard a budget update. You all see on your agenda that tonight there will be another budget presentation at the ASSB meeting, the Advisory Social Services Board meeting, but there won't be any surprises. We are not facing scary budget cuts for older adults. So that's the good news, right? As in past years, thanks to Hilda, DFS boards, authorities, and commissions reserved a block of testimony time. So that's on April 14th. And you all see, I think the COA, let me check, is slot number 7 and 8. Now, because the advertised budget doesn't include any programs that need your fervent advocacy, you probably won't need both of those slots, and you all can discuss how you want to handle. Last year, you may remember the pandemic had just hit, and that was the first year that I'm aware of that the COA hasn't testified at all. And many groups did not testify. The format was different, and people were being encouraged to submit written testimony. Now we're all a little bit more savvy about handling the different options, and you all can discuss if you'd like to have Carolyn or someone else use that one budget testimony slot. If you do, in the past when there wasn't strong advocacy needed, generally there was a thank you, a reminder about older adults and their needs. This year, of course, the Board of Supervisors already recognized the vulnerability of older adults during COVID-19, and Supervisor Saherty and Walkinshaw called for the development of the COVID-19 response plan for older adults. So there's something to be thankful for and to recognize the board for. But so you all can discuss that. I should have swapped the order, but you all know this. You may want to, as in the past, disagree as a group that if you are going to have Carolyn or someone else testify, that a draft can be sent to the group with individual comments and suggestions sent just to Carolyn and to me, so that we won't violate FOIA. But that's really all I have to say about the advertised budget. Let me double check. You all know that the county will hear the budget testimony, then there's a markup, and then the board adopts the final budget on May 4th. I don't know, Carolyn, if you all want to discuss that now.
I had an exchange over the fact that the Disability Services Board was going to speak and during the testimony and offer some appreciation for efforts. it would certainly be appropriate for us to thank them for their support of the COVID-19 response plan for older adults. I don't know if there's anything else. And I was certainly struck in attending the housing symposium this week, and then again in hearing the HSC meeting on Monday evening, the very strong correlation between health and housing, and that the pandemic has brought forward for us, that encouragement of additional affordable housing in some fashion. I don't know. There's new money coming in, but I believe Mr. Hill said the other day that it wouldn't go into the 2022 budget. It would be kept completely separate, the money that was coming in, federal money that was coming in, and had to be used for those sorts of things. So if there's not extra money right now for affordable housing, it may not be appropriate for us to try to push for it. What does everyone think? You can just turn off your mic, turn your mics on, and if you have a comment. One thing that was mentioned, do you remember this, Sharon? There was talk at the Affordable Housing Symposium about the accessory living units.
Right. There was a lot of opposition by some neighborhoods apparently to ADUs being built in their neighborhood because they were afraid it was going to turn it into not in my back. It was bringing up another one of those not in my backyard kind of opposition. But
so Mr. McKay made a point of talking about them in terms of affordability, that they're not just for a granny unit to bring your older parent in there, but that they could be for older homeowners. And accessory living unit could be something you could rent out to a younger person in the community, to a graduate student or a new teacher. That could be a way to make more affordable housing units available in that way. But that's the sort of thing that the homeowners associations are apparently opposing strenuously, the idea of rentals going on in their neighborhoods in that way. But we've talked about it before, that if you want to go on living in your home, it would be great to have somebody else there, a renter or somebody who would perform perhaps some useful tasks around the house or in the yard in exchange for a reduced rent. So I don't know if that's something.
Well, I certainly think that is something, if the commission decides to speak in one of those slots, that just support in general for affordable housing across the spectrum, because affordable is in the eye of the beholder. So we're not only talking about very low income folks. We're talking about moderate income folks that are trying to make ends meet.
Right. I mean, the term is used in connection with people making 80% of AMI or less. So that's a pretty high income.
Right.
I think I've heard a little bit about this from the Community Citizens Association side. It's too much to go into now for me, but it's more complicated than I think the way you're characterizing it. It's not just a NIMBY thing, because you can now have a so-called granny flat. But
part of the issue was the cumbersome process that's required to make that happen. So they were trying to reduce the cumbersomeness of the process, in addition to.
We were all made aware of the changes that have been proposed under ZMOD to make it a possibility for people other than someone building a unit just to house an older relative that would then have to be taken out again at some point, that they're opening it up and not having an age restriction on it and making it more available as a means of extending affordable housing. So that's what the objection was the change in the zoning.
Oh, and if I may add just a few comments about this discussion about that issue. It may or may not have gone in the direction you all had anticipated, but one of the reasons this issue regarding the accessible living units was included in this modernization project of, the ZMOD, modernization of the zoning ordinance, was related to the last 50+ community action plan. And you may remember that Carolyn and Denton were working on housing related issues. And this was one of the suggestions that rose related to a symposium that was offered. So again, it may or may not have gone in the direction people were hoping. The board, you may know, deferred the vote on that ZMOD proposal at their last meeting. And so next Tuesday at 2 o'clock, I believe, the board is going to take a position on that.
Okay, we'll pay attention to that. But in the meantime, we will not meet again as a group before the testimony. So I think our next meeting is the 21st of April. So would you like Jackie and me to come up with some kind of wording that we could send around for people to comment on, sending it back directly to us, not commenting among ourselves, because we can only do that right now in a public meeting that's been advertised. So if anybody has anything else to say about what budget testimony we might give, now is the time to say it to the whole group. Otherwise, I can try to come up with something very brief. I've been at those and they go on forever. And if you don't use your whole 5 minutes, they're just grateful that somebody else can jump in right after you. Yes, Martha.
I'd just like to comment that with regard to affordable dwelling units, it's another emphasis should be on maintaining affordable dwelling units. I am aware that there are plans in the Seven Corners area to vastly change the existing units and make high rises and stuff. And I doubt that. So there needs to be tremendous vigilance in not allowing the affordable apartment buildings to disappear.
Okay, well, I don't know that all of that would go into a budget testimony. I think, we might just talk about housing as a focus.
But preservation of affordable units as well as
right.
building new ones. So preservation's the word.
Not eliminating them over here in order to build new
right.
ones somewhere else. Right. So that's definitely true.
And then in the chat, I know we're running out of time, Carolyn, but in the chat, I see that Eileen McCartan added a comment. We hope that the topic of hearing health be addressed as an important concern for people aging into hearing loss.
Yes, I don't know how that fits into a budget discussion of a budget that's already been brought up, but we can certainly have it in mind for the future that we would be promoting. So
I can certainly see something similar to what you were describing. The DSB was going to be presenting, thanking them for the work that they've supported already and will continue to support.
Right. Okay, well, I know Jackie will help us find the diplomatic way to address concerns as well as praise. So we'll give that a try and send something to you in advance of that. So we are in fact just about out of time. I don't know what you were going to say about FOIA, Jackie, but.
If you will allow me the last two, if you'll give me 90 seconds. Yeah. We may revisit this next month, but we have had a training and then some additional communication with the county attorney's office. The COA has been very good about trying to comply with the FOIA requirements. And some of those, of course, have been accentuated and changed a little bit during the pandemic. So bravo to you all. For your awareness, this meeting is being recorded. We are now going to be posting the Zoom videos and not just the audio recordings. That's that. And I also wanted to let you know, and we may want to discuss this more next meeting, but the county attorneys had suggested that board members, you all, consider having a separate personal email designated specifically for your commission work, so that if there is ever a FOIA request involving Commission on Aging business, you all won't have to extract any of your emails. So it's cleaner, basically, so it's cleaner. We can discuss that next time if you'd like to. It's not mandatory, but it was a suggestion on the part of the county attorneys. I know a few of you, I believe a few of you might have that. I think Sharon Dreyer has a COA specific email. I don't know if you do, Sharon, but I thought you did. And then I want to say just very quickly, there's no change yet, but there has been discussion about people are getting vaccinated. How does that affect our meetings, right? So for now, we're under a state of emergency. The groups are meeting electronically. For your information, under FOIA, a hybrid meeting, public meeting, does not technically exist. So once the state of emergency is over, we're back to an in-person quorum requirement for our meetings. Now, for boards, authorities, and commissions that have a separate policy established for electronic options, supplemental options, it's not a technical hybrid, but people are allowed to call in electronically under certain conditions. Now, fortunately, you all did develop a separate policy related to electronic meetings. There is some legislation that the governor is considering. And once we know if he signs that, we will know that whether or not we have to adapt that policy at all. Nothing is changing right now. We can talk about all of this later, but I wanted to do what I was instructed and give you a few FOIA updates.
Okay.
Carolyn's going to take a look at our
I think we've covered all the announcements at the end of the meeting. Tonight's ASSB board meeting, there was a letter that went out about it from Ms. Fenwick that I think went to everybody if you want to tune into that at 7. The Racial Equity Institute training on April 17th, the registration is still open for that. And the think tank submissions, Kathy Cole reminded us that they're due on April 18th. I also just wanted to make a quick reminder, looking at the bylaws, remembering that members of the commission who were appointed in odd years, which is the at-large position, Braddock District, Drainsville, Providence, Springfield, and City of Falls Church, are up for will be up for reappointment this year, 2021. I don't know exactly when each of you was appointed, but you might want to get in touch with your supervisor or your city council and let them know if you want to be reappointed. That will save them, they can get the paperwork ready. Jackie, maybe you can say, how that would work, but it's just something to be aware of. If this is your year to be reappointed, we just went through a reappointment that had to go back, 6 months and so we want to be sure everybody is up to date and, legally a member of the commission and able to vote on things.
So the way that works is you all remain on the commission until you are either reappointed or the board member chooses not to reappoint you. Board member or city councils, in the
right, but it's not automatic. There has to be a letter every 2 years, right?
It's not automatic. Generally, the board staff will be contacting you. But I think what Carolyn is suggesting is a courtesy that the board officers would appreciate. Yeah. Because then they don't have to remember, they don't have to worry about it. You've already had that communication and the process can be implemented more quickly.
And if you don't plan to continue on the commission at any point, it is also a courtesy to look around and see if you can find somebody else in your community that you could recommend to your supervisor or city council who would be interested in taking your place. That also was, I was recruited to come on the commission, and I think they were very grateful in the city. Okay. We've run 4 minutes over. That's not too bad considering how much we had to do. So I would like to hear a motion to adjourn.
I make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
And second of the motion, Martha Cooper. All in favor, say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Oh, we are adjourned. Thank you all so much. It was good to see you.
Good to see you as well.